Welcome to the Winning Edge Investments Podcast. Winning Edge Investments provides industry-leading horse racing and sports betting tips, ratings and education, enabling you to invest intelligently and treat your betting like a business. Go to www.winningedgeinvestments.com to learn more about how you can start to supercharge your betting bank immediately. Treat your betting like a business and invest intelligently with Winning Edge Investments.
Today on the Winning Edge podcast, we're joined by Trent Busuttin from Busuttin Racing. G'day, Trent. How are you, mate?
Good, thank you. How are you, mate?
Yeah, well, always like to get a bit of a debrief on the careers of the people we interview. Tell us where it all began in racing for you.
Myself and Natalie both come from racing families. My father was a top trainer in New Zealand, trained 1,000 winners, and I sort of tagged along after school and on the weekends and sort of went to the stables and was sort of very interested in it from a young age. I had Bew Baker following around his father, Murray Baker, and Stephen Marsh, who's a good trainer in New Zealand. His father, Bruce Marsh, obviously won a Melbourne Cup. And sort of we had a little group that basically followed our fathers around on the weekends and have sort of just grown up with it. And my father, he after training in New Zealand for probably 20 years, he headed up to Singapore. He was one of the first expat trainers up there. And we spent 10 years up in Singapore, and I was assistant trainer up there to him. So that was sort of the early part of things before we moved back to New Zealand, myself and Natalie, and got our licence there, and then obviously headed over to Australia.
How long have you been in Australia for now?
I think just past 5 years.
Yep.
5 years. We're thoroughly enjoying it here. I mean, the racing in Australia is absolutely thriving, which is obviously, apparent with the prize money, but no, we enjoy the Australian lifestyle, so no, definitely not going back anytime soon.
And tell us, how does it work with yourself and Natalie? You see a lot of training partnerships these days, but not ones which are, partners in life. How does that work? Is there any tricky moments, or?
She talks and I listen.
Yep, you've got a spot on.
It certainly has its moments, but no, it's good. We've got things worked out, and like you'll see, most sort of not so much, life partners or whatever, but with the amount you've got to do now when you have a large stable, the partnerships that are, becoming apparent, it's certainly a two-person job minimum, let alone with your senior staff.
Does it make it easier to have the hard conversations? I mean, if you see other training partnerships where there's two different guys, different age groups, it's probably a bit harder to have those conversations with people you don't know as well.
Yeah, I think we're probably a little bit unique, but we're probably definitely equal partners. We certainly have your disagreements and your different thoughts on things, but whereas you say those senior junior partners, there's definitely one boss, one bloke calling the shots. So no, it's very much equal, but it's it works, and it's always good to have two different opinions on things. So, but as a whole, we've got our training routine and we know what works and hopefully works with the horses. So it's sort of it's pretty straightforward.
And you've had a fair bit of success. I mean, the likes of Tag Lower, and you've had Tabago. Run us through the most memorable horses in your mind.
Probably the first good horse we had before we moved over to Australia was a horse called 6 O'Clock News. He was a Zabeel horse. He didn't manage to pick up a Group 1, but he was multiple, Group 2 winner. He was the first good horse, and then our first Group 1 winner was obviously Sangster in the Victorian Derby, and that was obviously a big moment in our career. He came along very early in the career. I think it was only 2 or 3 years into us training in New Zealand. Obviously, they don't come much bigger than the Spring Carnival, and sort of while I'd travelled with my father's horses over here to bring one over and do it yourself and get amongst the big guns, it was certainly very memorable, but it's certainly hard to win Group 1s. I think we've had 8 now maybe, but probably as big an impact on our training career was the Blue Diamond. Sort of while we'd come here and had a bit of luck with staying type horses, and got sort of pigeonholed, or it was where our success has been. So that sort of everyone was saying, well, we're trainers are stayers, and so it was good to sort of tick off one of those majors for the 2-year-olds, which showed people we can do it. So
Yep.
that's enabled us to go to sales and buy nice horses, and for those 2-year-old type races where it's certainly expensive at the sales, so you've got to have some backing behind you, and that's been a pivotal moment in our career so far in Australia, I guess.
And it's that time of year again where you have the Blue Diamond Stakes. Anything out of the barn which you think will be up to the likes of Tagalora and potentially win the race, or?
Oh, no, we don't have anything running. I do really like a 2-year-old filly. We've got a filly called Bonheur. She's a filly we bought at the Magic Millions, and she's actually out of a Group 1 winner that won the Emirates Stakes, the Myers, the fillies and mares race. So she's not real bred to be a 2-year-old, but she's had 2 runs where she's run third, and she ran a close-up 5th in the Blue Diamond Prelude the other day. She's only beaten under a couple of lengths, and she was charging through the line. But we've elected not to go to the Blue Diamond. We're going to go to the Sires Produce. Just feel the 1400 at Flemington would suit a lot better, but I think she will be very hard to beat in the Sires Produce.
All right, and anything from the babies which will go to Sydney perhaps for the Slipper or any of the other races?
No, unfortunately, we don't have one this year for the Slipper or Blue Diamond. They're hard to come by, and you've got to have absolute gun 2-year-old firing all cylinders, or you can very easily sort of, they won't be around for too much longer if you push them too early when they're not ready. So, no, we won't have any Diamond or Slipper horses this year, unfortunately.
All right, on Saturday, though, you've got a nice double-pronged attack in the CS Hayes. You've got Forgot You and Pascero. Talk us through Forgot You. He won a trial last week. He won the Stakes and ran 5th in the Derby. 1,400 metres first up, and I think he's got blinkers on this time, hasn't he?
Yeah, and we've always thought he was a blinker horse. He sort of hits those flat spots in his races at the sort of 400, and it's lost a couple of lengths, and he's managed to get away with it in a couple of the races. But going forward, we really want to have him absolutely firing on all cylinders for the Australian Guineas. He ran a great 5th in the Caulfield Guineas, and he was only beaten 2 lengths, but at that stage he was 4th up going into the mile and probably looking for the 2,000. So we're going to keep him. He'll be second up into the Australian Guineas, and he's got the shades on just to stop him going through that flat spot, hopefully. But I was super impressed with the way he trolled up in those blinkers, albeit just a trial. He showed a good turn of foot when Mark Zahra asked him to go, and he's going to have improvement in him out of the race, but I think he's going to be really competitive on Saturday. He's got a sticky gate, barrier 11, so it's pretty straightforward. We'll be going back. But you've obviously got that big Flemington straight, and there looks to be a bit of speed in the race, so I got no doubt he can get home over top of them.
What's the main aim for him this time in?
It's firstly the Australian Guineas. In a perfect world, he'd win that, and he's quite well bred, so he would become a valuable colt if he did get that. Then it's sort of open. Let the horse tell us. You've got the Rosehill Guineas, the Alistair Clark Stakes. Maybe even, if he could win the Australian Guineas, maybe look at a Doncaster. But obviously, so much prize money, so many races available. It's a great place to be in.
Yep. You sound pretty bullish about him, mate, even on Saturday, but for the rest of the prep?
Yeah, I think he's a genuine good horse. He's won 2 Group 2s, and he's like I said, he was competitive in a Caulfield Guineas when he was probably looking for further. So yeah, he's one of the stable's main hopes going into the autumn.
Yep. And what about Pascero in the same race? He's got a better draw than Forgot You?
Yes, he's sort of on the other end of he's untapped. He's won 2 from 2, both at Sandown, which is obviously hard to do. He hasn't stepped up against the big boys, so we'll find out where he lies in the scheme of things. On his track work and that, he's every bit as good as the other horse. But we think he's good, but until you get in against a big guns, you don't know. But he's drawn to get a beautiful run. He'll present in great order, no excuses. So I'm confident of a very bold run. But like I say, you don't know until you get them there against the better 3-year-olds.
Yeah, I forgot you've got the runs on the board, so you're probably leaning towards him.
Yes, but
Yep.
I'd be disappointed if both of them aren't in the finish.
Yep. And we had the All-Star Mile top 10 announced during the week, and you had Sierra Sue, who was just outside that. But you're hoping to get a wild card into the race?
Yes. Look, she's going to go around in the futurity next week, next Saturday. I thought it was a good, solid run the other day. She's run fourth. You got horses like Cascade and the Doncaster winner, and obviously Tafane is multiple Group 1 winner, so she's in the absolute top of the tree now. And I thought she ran as well as she could at weight for age, with a bit of improvement to come. If she can, win the futurity or go close to it, I'm picking there'll be a few in the top 10 that probably don't look likely to go to the All-Star Mile. So I'm picking a few outside the top 10, probably creep into the race. I'm not exactly sure where she lies, but if she runs well in the futurity, we'd obviously certainly like to run in the race.
How does it work getting that wild card? Whose door do you need to knock down?
Basically, Greg Carpenter's, I'd suggest. I think, but look, basically the horse has got to put her hand up, so to speak, and the only way of doing that is running a big race in the futurity. So that's what we'll be hoping for. And in reality, if she can't go close in the futurity, if she's not running top 3 in the futurity, she's not going to be a winning hope in the All-Star Mile. And
yep.
Look, it's certainly great to take your place in those sort of races, especially with that sort of prize money, but you don't want to be going around for the sake of it.
Yep.
I don't want to be going around with a hopeless chance. So she's very well, and I expect her to run well in the futurity.
Yep. And they alternate the track with that race. Where would you prefer to be? I know it's at Flemington this year, but is that ideal for her?
Yeah, it doesn't worry her. She's won at Caulfield and she's won at Flemington, and she was terribly unlucky at Moonee Valley. She should have won at Moonee Valley last year in the spring. So I guess from each person's perspective, it's whatever suits their horse. But to me, I think the concept's good, sharing it around the clubs. I think that's a good idea. I mean, for pure theatre, I suppose there's nothing like Moonee Valley. I don't think there's that much argument from a spectator's point of view. It's the best, most exciting place to watch it. But no, I think it's a great concept, and I think it's well done, shared throughout the clubs.
Yep. Rich Hips, step the bar up with her this time in. I see you've got a nom for the Queen of the Turf, the Group 1.
Yeah, she will kick off on the 26th next Saturday in the just the Group 3 Fillies and Mares 1400. It's a race she won last year. I think she's going to be extremely hard to beat in it. She's a genuine Group 3 horse. We've had a crack at a couple of Group 1s. And she just hasn't been far away, but not quite up to them. So we'll kick off in the Group 3, and if she runs well, there are plenty of races like the one you just mentioned. We'd obviously love to pick off a Group 2 or a Group 1 especially. So she'll get a chance if she's going good enough this autumn.
And what about the other horses like Mirage Dancer? It was okay in the spring without winning. Inverloch was the same vein, kind of ran well, but
yeah, Inverloch, he's a good, genuine, honest galloper that he's won a Group 3 off season. I'd love to have 20 horses like him in the stable. They go
very honest.
Yeah, so they're the sort of horses you need that run around on Saturdays. He's been kept out for a bit of a long break over summer. He really needs the wet tracks. We're not sitting it. He'll be back racing sort of end of April, May, and probably he's an 8-year-old now. This will be his last season. But we'll give him one long, solid sort of winter campaign, and without setting the bar too high, just try and win some races and some prize money for the owners. He's been great for the owners. He's been around 4 seasons now, and they've had a lot of fun, obviously, watching him go around. And the other old horse, Mirage Dancer, he's in stud in Ireland. He's standing in stud in
okay,
Ireland.
Yep.
So
he's done.
He's going to be enjoying himself this upcoming season, but in a different manner.
Yep, nice. What about Flash R? He's an interesting horse you've got from Queensland. What can you tell us about him?
We were approached by the owners to take the horse, and certainly happy to do so. He wasn't too far away, just looking at his form. He turned up in fantastic order. He looks good. He's happy, healthy, and sound. And I would say there are wins in him for sure. We'll let the horse sort of settle in, and he can kick off over 1400 somewhere in about a month's time. sort of we'll let the horse tell us where we get to with him, but he's certainly going to win races down here.
All right. Anything else I've missed out of the good horses, or?
Those are our nice ones. It's filly to follow that she won't be seen in the autumn, but I'd suggest a nice staying filly called Stariana.
Okay.
She's a Sebring filly that I've got a lot of time for. She's just had a couple of trials and gone out in the paddock. But as a late 2-year-old and early spring 3-year-old, she's going to be a really nice filly for sort of if someone's looking for one to follow out of the stable that hasn't got to the races yet.
Sounds good. What's the big aim for her? Is anything planned out, or?
Oh no, just let her tell us how far. But sort of, she's a well-bred horse with a good pedigree, and races like the 1,000 Guineas or Victorian Oaks, those sort of races, hopefully.
Perfect. And sounds like Bon Her's the other one of the youngsters to keep an eye on too.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I'll try and get this podcast out before this afternoon. You've got a couple at Pakenham tonight. Anything to follow there?
Semper Fortis is probably our best of the night. He was very disappointing first up. He hadn't done too much wrong in the spring, and I thought he'd be winning a maiden pretty quickly, but he was playing last time, but he should bounce back and be very hard to beat tonight.
Perfect. All right, Trent, appreciate your time, mate, and good luck on Saturday. Good luck for the rest of the autumn, and look forward to some of your nice horses stepping out.
At Winning Edge Investments, our team of highly skilled expert analysts and full-time professional punters review the data, crunch the figures, assess the best betting opportunities, and deliver them to your phone via our app and your email inbox in real time so you profit. Go to www.winningedgeinvestments.com, look at our membership options, make your choice, and enter the promo code PODCAST to receive a special 25% discount on your first membership just for listening. That's PODCAST in capital letters for a 25% ongoing discount on your first membership. Treat your betting like a business and invest intelligently with Winning Edge Investments.